Good evening, everyone. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the 39th National Book Awards. My name is Sam O, and this is my co-host, Tina Ryan.
Good evening, Sam, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. What an honor it is to be able to present the 39th National Book Awards.
It certainly is. It's been over 2 years since the National Book Development Board and the Manila Critics Circle were last able to hold these awards. And though we would have loved an in-person awarding ceremony, the 39th NBA is a much anticipated return we're sure the book world is tuning into right now.
Yes, and so we encourage everyone joining us now to please spread the word and invite your friends to watch as we honor this year's National Book Award winners.
Before we begin, we'd like to acknowledge the presence of National Artists for Literature, Virgilio S. Almario and Gemino H. Abad. Thank you so much for being with us today.
All right, so to begin tonight's ceremony, let us call on the chairman of the National Book Development Board, Mr. Dante Francis Ang II, for his opening remarks.
To all our finalists and distinguished guests, on behalf of the National Book Development Board, NBDB, I send my warmest greetings to everyone present tonight to celebrate and reflect on the power of the printed word through the National Book Awards. Today, at a delicate time when we are beginning to return to the rituals of our daily lives, hampered for years by a global health crisis, returning to the familiar is something that many of us have long been anticipating. After being caught between the shifting sands of uncertainty in the past years and the certainty of the everyday is a source of comfort. For many of us in the publishing industry, the resurgence of the National Book Awards, a tradition since 1982, which recognizes the best books written, published, and designed in the Philippines, is good news. Administering the 39th National Book Awards from the submission of 276 nominated books to the 7 months long reading and deliberation stage faced delays because of intermittent lockdowns. But as we start anew, we find solace in rediscovering the best of Filipino stories. I tell you that with certainty because as we redraw our world, the role of books in helping us answer questions that the pandemic has brought about has never been more apparent. Ensuring continuous book production among our stakeholders, from authors to editors to artists to translators and to publishers, is therefore one of the mandates that the NBDB swears by every year. The National Book Awards is one of the avenues we can do that. So while the awards are by no means perfect, informed by various metrics that may not agree with some, since 2008, the NBDB has collaborated with the Manila Critics Circle for the National Book Awards and will continue to support it in the years to come. The National Book Awards encourages creatives to produce more works by recognizing the painstaking labor that comes in crafting the finest books in the country, reaffirming the endless capacity of Filipino creatives to paint stories that showcase the breadth and depth of our nation's past, present, and future. This is no easy feat, especially as we make sense of our archipelago of stories through the rigorous standards of novels, poetry, essays, anthology, comics, nonfiction books, among others. Moreover, the National Book Awards, by empowering agents of creativity to bring their ideas to fruition, aligns with the daring yet hopeful economic outlook of the NBDB to reinvigorate the Philippine publishing industry by increasing access points for books across the country through programs such as the Book Nook and by expanding the market for publishers to participation in international fairs. The NBDB is set to leverage the power of our number, our archipelago of stories from the islands of Batanes to Tawi-Tawi, our global diaspora that knows no boundaries. The implementation of the 39th cycle may have come across various setbacks, but the roster of finalists is out to prove that the creativity of the Filipino spirit cannot be hampered. So is the National Book Awards, which despite an unfortunate absence, is back tonight to celebrate the best books published in the Philippines in 2019 and 2020. We thank the Board of Judges composed of the Manila Critics Circle and the NBDB appointed category and permanent judges for dedicating their time and effort to read all the nominated books for this cycle. In the next awarding season, the National Book Awards will commemorate 4 decades of bringing to limelight the best of Philippine books. Congratulations to our authors, editors, artists, translators, publishers, and to everyone who has worked to bring Filipino stories to life. You are all winners. Magandang gabi at mabuhay ang latahaling Pilipino.
Thank you, Mr. Ang, for that wonderful message.
And now let's call on Ms. Charisse Aquino Tugade, Executive Director of the National Book Development Board, for her welcome address.
To our distinguished judges, authors, creatives, publishers, and the Manila Critics Circle, on behalf of the National Book Development Board, I welcome everyone to the 39th National Book Awards. Good evening, everyone. It has been more than 2 years since we last held the National Book Awards with the Manila Critics Circle. Besides the fact that this is a much-awaited comeback from such a lengthy absence, I can speak to all of you tonight with great pride and excitement. You all know that the industry has struggled with the onset of the pandemic. But the narrative I feel like more people should hear, the story our writers and artists should be able to tell everyone, is how our very own book publishing scene has reached new heights in the last 2 years. An unprecedented increase in ISBN applications, over 30 million pesos in grants and domestic incentives received by our creators, the setup of Book Nook sites, safe and inclusive reading spaces in indigenous and remote areas, numbering 52 in 2021 and 40 more this year. Dozens of Filipino titles brought to the global stage via our international book fairs and programming, and the continuous literary production of independent publishers and creators. I imagine all of this not only will be a reassurance for everyone who cares about books, it is also, more importantly, a reason to keep going, to keep telling the story of the Filipino. This year, my colleagues and I had the fortune of representing the Philippines in several international book fairs and conferences. Amid all the business talks and negotiations, I'm happy to share with you all of the good news. Our stories are, in fact, worth telling. Our use of color, the richness of our folklore and history and mythology, the depth and inventiveness of our contemporary novels, the unique wisdom and charm of our children's books. The whole world has been waiting for all of these stories. We now set our sights not only in rights sold abroad, but improving distribution in domestic and international markets, such as the Middle East. And in case I forget to mention, this is what we have to work on next. We need to reach our diasporic population through our books, because yes, we are everywhere. Now, what do literary awards mean amid all this promise and clamor for our stories? A few things, perhaps most importantly, of which it's an overdue celebration of Filipino literary talent and of the book as an art form. It's a reminder too that we need to read more Filipino books and for us to stop othering our own work by relegating our books to these small, sad spaces and sections in our bookstores and our libraries. While some people might say that awards are really just secondary to what is truly important, which is the book, I believe, like all of you, that the prestige and attention that they bring to creative work amounts to something greater, something bigger. They encourage wider readership and spotlights what are otherwise overlooked voices, which then encourages sales and helps our booksellers and publishers, which in turn encourages wider authorship and readership. It fuels the whole cycle that adds to and makes possible the very human and necessary act of storytelling. I know that we all have love for this NBA comeback to be held in person. But to everyone joining us now, let's not forget that this event still provides us an occasion to take time off our busy schedules so we can turn to what our artists have made and to be delighted once again by the Filipino book. I would like to congratulate the Manila Critics Circle and of course my team at the National Book Development Board for making this event possible. But more importantly and finally, congratulations to our inimitable authors, publishers, artists, readers, translators. The world is a better place because of you. Thank you again and have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Tugade, for that warm welcome.
Since 2008, the National Book Development Board, in partnership with the Manila Critics Circle, administers the National Book Awards, which honors the best books written, designed, and published in the Philippines. The awarding will proceed as follows. As every category is called, we shall announce the finalists and the winner. The winning author shall receive a certificate, a cash prize, and a trophy. The winning publisher will receive a winner's certificate. Each winning author is requested to deliver their speech in 1 minute.
In the selection of the best books published in 2019 and 2020, we were fortunate to have celebrated authors, professors, and artists to serve as our panel of judges. The MCC judges this year are National Artist for Literature Virgilio S. Almario, Roel S. De Vera, Dean Alfar, Alma Anona Scarpio, Michael M. Coroza, and Shirley O. Lua. The permanent judges of the literary division this year are Neni Santa Romana Cruz for English and June Cruz Reyes for Filipino. Annalyn Salvador Amores is the permanent judge for the non-literary division. Meanwhile, the category judges for the literary division this year are Charleston Ong for fiction, Romulo Baquiran Jr. for nonfiction prose, Jose Wendell Capili for essay, Merly Alunan for anthology, Christian Valles for drama, Ferdinand Lopez for literary criticism and literary history, Mara Lanot for poetry, Carl Joe Javier for graphic literature, and Marnie Kilatis for translation. Let us give the 39th NBA judges a round of applause, and we are truly grateful for your support to the awards and to the book publishing industry.
And now for the main event, the presentation of the awards. For each winning book, a citation was prepared by the category judges. The first category under the literary division this evening is the best novel in English. The shortlisted books are Remains by Daryl Delgado, Ateneo de Naga University Press. Tiempo Muerto, a novel by Caroline S. Howe, Ateneo de Manila University Press. Broken Islands by Criselda Yabes, Ateneo de Manila University Press. The Age of Umbrage by Jessica Zafra, Ateneo de Manila University Press. The best novel in English is Tiempo Muerto, a novel by Caroline S. Howe, published by the Ateneo de Manila University Press.
Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. I am deeply grateful to the Manila Critics Circle and the National Book Development Board for this great honor and privilege. I would also like to thank Karina Bolasco and the editorial team of the Ateneo de Manila University Press for enabling Tiempo Muerto to see the light of print. I would like to dedicate this award to my fellow Filipinos, whose fortitude and resilience are the stuff of our writerly imagination, and whose ever-elusive quest for justice, freedom, and equality are the stars by which we navigate and find our respective ways home. Maraming salamat po at mabuhay ang Pilipinas.
Congratulations, Ms. Howe and Ateneo Press. Next up, we have the best novel in Filipino. This year's finalists are Omnibus at ang Misteryo ng Nawawalang Ulo ni Rod V. Nuncio, University of the Philippines Press. Topografiya ng Lumbay, Imus Novel 6 ni R.M. Topacio Aplaon, University of the Philippines Press. And the best novel in Filipino is Topografiya ng Lumbay, Imus Novel 6 ni R.M. Topacio Aplaon, inilathala ng University of the Philippines Press.
Kahit kailan hindi naman ako nagsulat para sa gantimpala at hindi ko akalain na may kaakibat palang ganitong bagay yung pagsulat dahil noon pa naman bokasyon na yung tingin ko sa pagsusulat. Pero kung may kapisanan o tao na nakakita ng merito sa mga ginagawa ko, hindi po ako magdadalawang isip magpasalamat. Kaya maraming salamat po. Pero higit sa lahat, sa maalala ang pangalan ko, mga nobelang isinusulat ko, parang mas gusto ko po yatang makita ng mga susunod na tatampot ang panulat ang sining na ito bilang armas para labanan ng kasinungalingan at kadalimang bumabalot sa lipunan. At gamitin ito para ipaglaban kung anumang pinaniniwalaan nila. Sa akin, humanidad, kawastuan at pagmamahal sa bayan higit sa lahat. Huwag po tayong tumigil na yakapin ang sining na ating sinasandalan Maraming salamat po ulit. Huwag tumigil sa pagsulat.
Congratulations, Mr. Topacio Aplaon and UP Press. Our next category is Best Book of Short Fiction in English. For the winning author, an additional prize is provided by Ms. Shirley Lua, who was once mentored by the esteemed Cirilo F. Bautista. National Artist for Literature Cirilo F. Bautista is renowned for his poetry, fiction, and essays. Dr. Bautista is instrumental in the founding of the Bienvenido and Santos Creative Writing Center, the Baguio Writers Group, the Iligan National Writers Workshop, the Philippine Literary Arts Council, the Philippine Center of International Pen, the Philippine Writers Academy, and the Manila Critics Circle. The finalists for the Best Book of Short Fiction in English and the National Artist Cirilo F. Bautista Prize for Best Book of Short Fiction in English are Voyager and Other Fictions, The Collected Stories of Jose Dalisay by Jose Dalisay Jr., Anvil Publishing Incorporated. Demigods and Monsters, Stories by Caroline S. Howe, University of the Philippines Press. City Stories by Angelo R. Lacuesta, Ateneo de Manila University Press. Stories of a Bitter Country by Ninochka Rosca, Anvil Publishing Incorporated. Pics or It Didn't Happen and Actual Stories by Ana Felicia C. Sanchez, University of the Philippines Press. A Natural History of Empire by Dominic C., Ateneo de Manila University Press. Collected Stories and Tales by Cristina Pantoja Hidalgo, University of Santo Tomas Publishing House. The Best Book of Short Fiction in English and the National Artist Cirilo F. Bautista Prize for Best Book of Short Fiction in English goes to Voyager and Other Fictions, The Collected Stories of Jose Dalisay by Jose Dalisay Jr., published by Anvil Publishing Incorporated.
I'm very happy and honored to be receiving this award, for which I'd like to thank the National Book Development Board, the Manila Critics Circle, and our other sponsors. This is a book that has taken me 40 years to finish, and I don't think I can do that again in my time remaining. So I'll take what I can get. And again, thank you all very much for this great honor. Salamat po.
Congratulations, Mr. Dalisay and Anvil. Our next category is Best Book of Short Fiction in Filipino. For the winning author, an additional prize is provided by the family of Gerardo P. Cabochan. The special prize is a tribute to Gerardo P. Cabochan's passion as an avid storyteller and to the extraordinary stories he left as a World War II guerrilla, lawyer, friend, father, grandfather, philanthropist, lay minister, congressman, and one of the most well-loved pillars of the Caloocan community. The finalists for the Best Book of Short Fiction in Filipino and the Gerardo P. Cabochan Prize for Best Book of Short Fiction in Filipino are Makeda, Mga Usipon Mula Lauod Hanggang Baybayon, ni Nap I. Arcilio III, Isang Balangay Media Productions. Kulto ni Santiago, ni Christian S. Cordero, University of the Philippines Press. The Next Great Tagalog Novel at Iba Pang Kwento, ni Alan N. Darain, University of the Philippines Press. Sa paalam nagwawakas ang lahat ng pagtatagpo ni Andrian Legaspi, Page Jump Media. Sadsadan, Happy-Happyhan, Mga Kwento ng Pag-ibig ni John Iromil Teodoro, University of the Philippines Press. The Best Book of Short Stories in Filipino and the Gerardo P. Cabochan Prize for the Best Book of Short Stories in Filipino goes to The Next Great Tagalog Novel at Iba Pang Kwento ni Alan N. Darain, inilathala ng University of the Philippines Press.
Nais kong kilalanin at pasalamatan ng mga tao sa likod ng aklat na ito. Sa grupong naratibo na nagsalang sa ilang mga akda na matatagpuan sa koleksyong ito, sa kanilang mga palihan. Sa UP Press, kay Neil Garcia, kay Jerry Los Baños na nag-asikaso sa proyektong ito mula simula hanggang dulo, at sa buong editorial team. Sa cover designer Ram Paulo Anayan. Nais kong ialay ang pagkilalang ito sa aking mga dakilang guro na lumisan na sa mundong ito nitong nagdaang 3 taon. Kay Tet Maceda, Lilia Quindosa Santiago at Bien Lombera, na sa kanilang matalas na paggabay ay nag-ambag sa paghugis sa mga kwentong matatagpuan sa aklat na ito. Daitet, Ma'am LQS at Sir Bien, para sa inyo po ito. Sana nakatingin kayo ngayon kung saan man kayo naroroon. Maraming salamat.
Congratulations, Mr. Darain and UP Press. Next up is the Best Book of Nonfiction Prose in English and the Pablo A. Tan Prize for Best Book of Nonfiction Prose in English. Like the previous categories, for the winning author, an additional prize is provided by Pablo A. Tan, who is represented by Mr. Miguel Tan. Pablo A. Tan was the respected civic leader and founder of Times Trading Company, a pioneer office and school supplies distributor in the country. He strongly believed that books and education improve the quality of life. The finalists for this category are Biyaheng Pinoy, a Mindanao Travelogue by Edilberto N. Alegre, Ateneo de Manila University Press. To Love Another Day, the Memoirs of Cory Aquino by Rapa Lopa, Rona Lopa Makasaet, and Paulo R. Reyes, Chamber Shell Publishing Incorporated. Living in Times of Unrest, Bart Pasion and the Philippine Revolution by Eduardo C. Tadem, University of the Philippines Press. The Best Book of Nonfiction Prose in English and the Pablo A. Tan Prize for Best Book of Nonfiction Prose in English goes to Biyaheng Pinoy, a Mindanao Travelogue by Edilberto N. Alegre, published by Ateneo de Manila University Press. Mr. Alegre will be represented by Ms. Joyce Dorado Alegre.
Maligayang bati po mula sa Tacloban City. On behalf of the late author Edilberto N. Alegre, my son Lacan Uhay, and I convey our heartfelt thanks to the Manila Critics Circle and the National Book Development Board for posthumously awarding Biyaheng Pinoy a Mindanao Travelogue. Maraming salamat po kanila dato sa Palaw ng Kirenteken Menuvo, kagisahara ng Iranun Maguindanao, bapahajulani ng mga badyaw sa ating mga kababayang lumad at mga Muslim na nagbahagi ng mga kwento ng kanilang buhay kay Ed. Thanks Ateneo de Manila University Press, especially Director Maria Carina Bolasco, Editor Ricardo de Ungria, Book Designer Stella Fernandez, Cover Artist Jonas Lechuga, Forward Author Brother Carl Gaspar. Lovingly, Dr. Prospero Covar and family, our family, friends, and readers. Maraming salamat po at mabuhay!
Congratulations, Mr. Alegre and Ateneo Press. Before we proceed, let's watch this short video clip. Our next award is Nonfiction Prose in Filipino. This year's winner is Balaguer by Emmanuel Barameda, inilathala ng Isang Balangay Media Productions.
Diyos mabalos sa National Book Development Board, sa Manila Critics Circle at sa mga nagsilbing hurado sa patimpalak sa taong ito sa pagkilala sa aking librong Balaguer. Gayon din ay pinasasalamatan ko ang Isang Balangay Media Production na nagtiwala sa aking libro na ilathala kay Sir Ronald Verso at kay Ma'am Bebang C. at sa kanyang pamilya. Maraming salamat po. Iniaalay ko ang tagumpay na ito sa aking mga kapatid sa panulat dito sa Isla ng Catanduanes. Kay Nap, kay Paul, Arnold, Ronnie, Joey at kay Sir Alan po. Ang tagumpay na ito ay tagumpay natin dito sa isla. Nawa ay mas marami pa tayong maikatha na mula sa ating lalawigan. Sa aking nobya, kay Rica at sa kanyang pamilya, maraming salamat. At sa pinag-aalayan ko ng aklat na ito sa aking ama, Noel Barameda, Diyos mabalos tabi sa Indugabos, padago sa nakita, tuloy ang biyahe. Maraming salamat po.
Congratulations, Mr. Barameda and Isang Balangay Media Productions. The best book of essays in English is our next award. The shortlisted books are Some Days You Can't Save Them All by Ronnie E. Baticolon, University of the Philippines Press. Break It to Me Gently, Essays on Filipino Film by Richard Balisay, Everything's Fine. A Richness of Embarrassments and Other Easy Essays by Jose Dalisay Jr., University of the Philippines Press. Why Words Matter, Why We Read and Why We Write by Jose Dalisay Jr., Canvas. The Philippines is Not a Small Country by Gideon Lasco, Ateneo de Manila University Press. A Pig Was Once Killed in Our Garage by Martin Villanueva, Ateneo de Manila University Press. The best book of essays in English is The Philippines is Not a Small Country by Gideon Lasco, published by the Ateneo de Manila University Press.
The Philippines is not a small country. Not in terms of population, not in terms of geography, and not in terms of our creativity. Congratulations to all the winners and finalists, the National Book Development Board and Manila Critics Circle, for celebrating this creativity through your works and through these awards, of which I'm honored and humbled to be part. I send my gratitude to everyone who has supported my book, including my family and friends, colleagues and mentors, my publisher Ateneo de Manila Press, my readers, and the young Filipinos for whom I wrote it. I will take this award as an inspiration to continue writing.
Congratulations, Mr. Lasco and Ateneo Press. Up next is Best Anthology. The finalists are Busilak, New LGBTQ Poetry from the Philippines, edited by J. Neil C. Garcia, University of the Philippines Press. Community, City of the Future, edited by Paulo Heras and Mark Navarro, Comiket Inc. Mindanao Harvest 4, edited by Jaime Ann Lim, Christine F. Godinez Ortega, Ricardo M. de Ungria, Far Eastern University. The best anthology is Mindanao Harvest 4, edited by Jaime Ann Lim, Christine F. Godinez Ortega, Ricardo M. de Ungria, published by Far Eastern University Publications.
Our gratitude to the Manila Critics Circle and to the National Book Development Board for honoring our book, Mindanao Harvest 4, with the Best Anthology Award. This honor goes not only to the editors, Rick de Ongria, Christine Godinez Ortega, and myself. More importantly, it goes to the 50 Mindanaoan contributors who have shared their provocative stories about Mindanao's rich and complicated past and present. Their stories are interesting stories. Their stories are important stories. Their stories are necessary stories because they are part of the national narrative of our people. Thank you.
Congratulations, Mr. Ann Lim, Ms. Godinez Ortega, Mr. De Ungria, and Far Eastern University Publications. Now it's time to move on to drama. The finalists for this category are Virgin Muli Po Ako, Mga Dulang May Isang Yugto by Ruel Molina Aguila, Ateneo de Manila University Press. Nocturnal at Iba Pang Dulang Pampelikula by Lito Casaje, University of the Philippines Press. Salvador Javier at Iba Pang Dula by Lito Casaje, University of the Philippines Press. Two Women as Specters of History, Lakambini and Indigo Child by Roddy Vera, Ateneo de Manila University Press. The best books of drama are Salvador Javier at Iba Pang Dula ni Lito Casaje, Indilathala ng University of the Philippines Press, and Two Women as Specters of History, Lakambini and Indigo Child by Roddy Vera, published by Ateneo de Manila University Press.
Good evening to the National Book Development Board and the Manila Critics Circle. My name is Nenet Casaje Chua, and on behalf of my late brother, Carlito P. Casaje, I would like to accept this award for his book, Salvador Javier at Iba Pang Dula, for being the best book in drama. When I received the email one day, truly I was surprised that up until this day, his works are still continuously recognized and appreciated by many. Unfortunately, he is no longer with us to personally accept his award. But I would like to thank all of you who love and value his work and making all of this possible. Kuya, you did it again. You never cease to amaze me.
Maraming salamat sa National Book Development Board at sa Manila Critics Circle. To paraphrase a saying, it took a village to publish this book. Kaya ibinabahagi ko ang award na ito sa lahat ng tumulong sa pagbuo ng librong ito. Tampok sina Ellen Ongkeko Marfil, who in many ways co-authored it in developing the script of Lakambini and pitching the idea to Ateneo Press. Si Karina Bolasco and the Ateneo de Manila University Press, who incessantly urged me to write it. Kabahagi din ng award na ito sina Lisa Magtoto at si Joel David for their wonderful essays as introductions. Equally wonderful is the cover design by Carl Castro, my partner, Maynard Manansala, who was a huge help in research and brainstorming, and to Jose Estrella, who directed Indigo Child for the stage. Itinuturing ko rin co-winners sina Ruel Aguila at ang yumaong si Lito Casaje. Nanalo tayong lahat. Mabuhay ang mandudula sa mundo ng publikasyon at panitikan.
Congratulations, Mr. Casaje, Mr. Vera, UP Press, and Ateneo Press. The next category is the best book of literary criticism in English. Our finalists this year are Pelikulang Comics, Towards a Theory of Filipino Film Adaptation by Joyce L. Ariola, University of the Philippines Press. Sensing Manila by Gary C. De Villas, Ateneo de Manila University Press. Children of the Post-Colony, Filipino Intellectuals and Decolonization, 1946-1972 by Charlie Samuya Veri, Ateneo de Manila University Press. The best book of literary criticism in English is Sensing Manila by Gary C. De Villas, published by the Ateneo de Manila University Press.
Maraming salamat sa bumubuo ng Manila Critics Circle at National Book Development Board sa paghirang sa aking aklat, Sensing Manila, bilang Best Book of Literary Criticism in English sa ika-39 ng National Book Awards. Tulad ng isinasaad sa aking aklat, ang pagtanaw ng utang loob ay isang gawi ng pagdama, pakapakapa at pakikisalamuha. Kaya hindi magiging aklat ito kung hindi ako tinulungan ng aking mentor na sina Dr. Nori Newmark at Dr. Trevor Hogan. sina Dr. Martin Melansan at Dr. Roland Tolentino na nagbigay ng mga puna, mungkahi at introduksyon sa aklat na ito. Malaking tulong ang buong kagawaran ng Pilipino, ang Pamantasang Ateneo de Manila at ang Ateneo University Press sa pangunguna ni Karina Velasco. Sa dakong huli, maaring nagmumula ang pagsusulat ng sanaysay o panunuring pampanintikan sa sariling kuro-kuro at metodolohiya ng patanong-tanong, pag-uusisa o ang pagiging marites. Subalit ang pagdalumat o ang pagtalunton ay diskursibo, dialohiko at dialektika. Kaya nais ko ring banggitin at kilalanin ang kontribusyon ng mga kapwa ko nominado sa kategoryang ito na sina Dr. Charlie Verick sa kanyang aklat na Children of Post-Colony at Dr. Joyce Ariola sa pelikulang comics. Patunay ang mga aklat na ito, 10 ng mga aklat pang itinatangi sa parangal na ito na ang gawain ng pagsusulat at pagsagsik ay hindi mauuwi sa relativismo o kanya-kanyang pagturing lamang. Bagkus, lalo pang ngang nagpupunyagi na maabot ang gurok ng katotohanan. May saysay sa mga salitang sanaysay at kasaysayan. Isang mapagpalayang gabi sa ating lahat.
Congratulations, Mr. De Villas and Ateneo Press. Now we're about to award the Best Book of Literary History in English. The winner for this category is Songs Sprung from Native Soils, More Conversations with 8 Mindanao Writers, edited by Ricardo M. de Umbria, published by Xavier University Press.
The author has kindly asked me to receive the award on his behalf. I am Marlene Andug, a representative of XU Press, a publishing arm of Xavier Ateneo, which published the book Songs Sprung from Native Soils. Let me read a note from Ricardo de Umbria himself. Good day to you all. This is to thank first the 8 Mindanaoan writers who agreed to be a part of the book. Second, the Xavier University Press for transforming the manuscript into a handsome publication. And last but not least, the NBDB and the Manila Critics Circle for their recognition of the book's value for Mindanao and to Philippine literature. Work on the various literatures in this island is just beginning, and any award for our efforts here, while not always forthcoming, is always inspiriting and inspiring. Again, daghang salamat kaninyong tanan.
Congratulations to Mr. de Umbria and Xavier University Press. The next category is the Best Book of Literary Criticism in Filipino. And this year's Best Book of Literary Criticism in Filipino is Faustino Aguilar, Kapangyarihan, Kamalayan, Kasaysayan by Epifanio San Juan Jr., published by the University of Santo Tomas Publishing House.
Taus-pusong pasasalamat sa National Book Development Board at Manila Critics Circle sa karangalang iginawad sa aking librong Faustino Aguilar. Utang ang pagkalimbag nito sa University of Santo Tomas Publishing House, lalo na sa matalinong pangangasiwa ni na Director Maria Alvarez at katulong na si Professor Ned Parfan. Sila ang komadrona ng libro ko. Nais ko ring pasalamatan ang University of the Philippines, Filipiniana Department, Library at si Professor Elvira Lapus na sumuporta sa aking proyekto. Wala nang iba pang pinakamahalagang tungkulin kundi ang pagtangkilik sa sining at kulturang nilikha ngayon ng ating kababayan, kulturang sumasagisag sa mahabang tradisyong mapagpalaya buhat pa ng revolusyong laban sa kolonyalismong Espanyol at Amerika. Mainit na pagbati ngayon sa lahat ng mga kasamang kalahok sa pagdiriwang ito.
Congratulations, Mr. San Juan and UST Publishing House. Now we're about to award the Best Book of Poetry in English and the Philippine Literary Arts Council or PLAC Prize for Best Book of Poetry in English. The Philippine Literary Arts Council is an organization of esteemed Philippine poets. It was founded by National Artist for Literature, Gemino Abad, Ricardo M. de Ungria, Alfred A. Yuson, and the late Alfredo Navarro Salanga. The shortlisted titles are When Bridges Are Down, Mountains Too Far, New Poems by Gemino H. Abad, University of the Philippines Press. Crocodiles in Belfast and Other Poems by Jim Pascual Agustin, San Anselmo Publications Incorporated. Marca Demonio or Poems on Love, Faith, and Duct Tape by Lourdes de Vera, Anvil Publishing Incorporated. Marawi and Other Poems by Simeon Dumdum Jr., Ateneo de Manila University Press. Geography Retconned Poems by Paulo Manalo, University of the Philippines Press. The Achichuk, Poems and Images from Batanes by Dorian S. Merina, Ateneo de Manila University Press. We Shall Write Love Poems Again by Dina Roma, University of Santo Tomas Publishing House. The Best Book of Poetry in English and the Philippine Literary Arts Council Prize for Best Book of Poetry in English goes to Bridges Are Down, Mountains Too Far, New Poems by Gemino H. Abad, published by UP Press, and We Shall Write Love Poems Again by Dina Roma, published by the University of Santo Tomas Publishing House. As the sponsor of the Plaque Prize himself, national artist Gemino Abad will award the Philippine Literary Arts Council Prize for Best Book of Poetry in English to Dina Roma.
Hello, everyone. I am most sincerely grateful for the honor, the award that the National Book Development Board has conferred on me. All that I can really say is that I owe everything in my life to our good Lord above all, to our country, my family, all my teachers, not only in school, but all who have inspired me in my life, and of course, all my friends. I believe that our country, home, family, and friends is everyone's heaven on earth. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Unexpected. That is the word that comes to my mind. Unexpected, but thrilled and happy about this award. I've never imagined that I would be getting a second one after so many years. I would like to thank the National Book Development Board, the Manila Critics Circle, and the Philippine Literary Arts Circle, and the many others for their work of sifting through many books of the past 2 years. I'd also like to thank Alil Alvarez and Ned Parfan of the UST Publishing House for their patience and unwavering support during press work, the De La Salle University Research Council Office, my colleagues at the Department of Literature, and of course, my family and friends who continue to believe in what I do. And my warmest greetings to fellow nominees in this category. We are all winners in our dedication to writing. Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat.
Congratulations, Mr. Abad, Ms. Roma, UP Press, and UST Publishing House. Up next is the Best Book of Poetry in Filipino. The finalists are Isang Kahig, Isang Tula, Mga Tanaga ni Albert Alejo S.J., Ateneo de Naga University Press. Lungsod Lungsuran ni Luis O. Lopez, Linangan sa Imahen, Retorika at Anyo, Lira, Inc. for Librong Lira. Ilang Sandali, Makalipas ang Huling Araw ng Mundo, Mga Tula ni Regan R. Maiquez, University of the Philippines Press. Kung ang Syudad ay Pag-ibig ni Carlos M. Piocos III, University of the Philippines Press. Siwang sa Pinto ng Tabernakulo, Mga Tula ni Louis John A. Sanchez, Linangan sa Imahen, Retorika at Anyo, Lira Inc. for Librong Lira. Ruta, Mga Bago at Piling Tula ni Benilda S. Santos, Ateneo de Naga University Press. Lahat ng nag-aangas ay inaagnas ni Paulo Tiausas, Paulo Miguel G. Tiausas. The best book of poetry in Filipino goes to Ruta, Mga Bago at Piling Tula ni Benilda S. Santos, inilathala ng Ateneo de Naga University Press.
Nagpapasalamat ang Ateneo de Naga University Press sa bagong karangalang ipinagkakaloob sa isa sa aming mga aklat. Kasama sina Father Robert Rivera ng Society of Jesus, ang Pangulo ng aming universidad, si Dr. March Fajardo, ang Dekana ng Office for Research and Creative Endeavors, at si Father Wilmer Tria, ang aming University Press Director. Buong puso po naming tinatanggap ang karangalang ito sa ating mahal na makatang si Dr. Benilda Santos para lumang maituturing ng panulaang Filipino. Hayaan po ninyo akong basahin ang kanyang mensahe ng pagtanggap. Ani Dr. Santos, wala nang hihigit pang pagpapahalaga sa isang akdang pampanitikan sa pagbasa at pagkilala rito bilang isang piyesang makabuluhan, makatotohanan at may naidaragdag pang lalim ng pag-unawa sa kasalukuyang kalagayan ng buhay na sinisikap unawain ng mabuti ng mambabasa. Ito ang gintong taglay ng panitikan na tanging sa kanya lamang nasusumpungan, ang paglalim ng pag-unawa ng mambabasa sa kahulugan ng kanyang kasalukuyang buhay. Kaya nga sa pagtanggap ko ngayon ng inyong pagkilala sa aking panulaan, nasaksihan ko o nasasaksihan ko ang inyong patuloy na pag-unawa sa mga landas ng buhay na ating pinagdaraanan. At sinisikap ding unawain ng sanggayon makasilip ng liwanag ng kahulugan ng buhay sa tula na maidurugtong sa ating pagharap sa ating realidad sa malikhaing paraan. Sa madaling salita, natutuklasan natin sa pagbasa ng tula ang paghawak sa mga kahulugan ng salita na naiuuwi rin natin sa mga kahulugan sa ating buhay. Napapansin man natin o hindi, tumitibay ang ating tindig sa lansangan, higit na buo na ang loob sa pagtanggap ng lungkot, kabiguan o kalapastanganang hindi na tayo ganap na malulugmok sa dilim. Palibhasa na babago natin ang kahulugan ng mga salita mula sa kalungkutan patungo sa unti-unting pagkatuklas sa liwanag ng bagong umaga. Muli sa ngalan ni Dr. Benilda Santos, Diyos mabalos po sa Indogabos.
Congratulations, Ms. Santos and Ateneo de Naga Press. All right, next up is the award for Best Book of Graphic Literature. The finalists are Kiko Machine 15, Bulwagan ng Misteryo by Manix Abrera, 19th Avenida Publishing House, Visprint Incorporated. Doobie-Doo Asks by Bambi Eloriaga Amago and Roland H. Amago, Comiket Incorporated. Si Jano Silang at ang Labanang Manananggal Mambabarang ni Edgar Calabia Samar, adaptation by Mervin Malonzo, Anino Comics and Halia Publishing. 66 Book 2 by Russell Molina, illustrated by Mikey Marchan, Anino Comics. Tarantadong Kalbo Volume 1 by Kevin Eric Raimundo, Comiket Incorporated. The best book of graphic literature is Tarantadong Kalbo Volume 1 by Kevin Eric Raimundo, published by Comiket Incorporated.
Una sa lahat, papasalamat ako sa National Book Development Board sa pagbigay sa akin ng karangalan ito. I would also like to thank the following. To my fellow nominees, it is an honor to be nominated alongside all of you. To my family and friends, especially to my wife Dara, who is my constant. Salimuot ang paglalakbay ko sa mundo ng comics, but throughout this journey, hindi niya ako iniwan. Walang tarantadong kalbo kung wala ang asawa. To the comics community, thank you for the warm welcome. To my publisher, Paolo, and the rest of the Comiket family, thank you for believing in me and taking the risk in publishing my works. Last, and definitely not the least, this award is dedicated to my readers, both online and offline. Ang dami na nating pinagdaanan. Pakiramdam ko, mga kabarkada ko na kayong lahat. Maraming salamat sa inyong suporta.
Congratulations, Mr. Raimundo and Comiket. To be awarded next is Best Translated Book. The finalists are Jose Rizal, Liberalismo at ang Balintunan ng Kolonyalidad. Lisandro Claudio, translated by Micael de Lara Co, Ateneo de Manila University Press. In the Womb of Earth and Other Stories, self-translated by Alice Tan Gonzalez, University of the Philippines Press. The World is Still Beautiful by Lazaro Francisco, translated by Mona Hailey, Ateneo de Manila University Press. Canal de la Reina by Liwayway Arceo, translated by Soledad S. Reyes, Ateneo de Manila University Press. The Last Timawa, a novel by Servando de Los Angeles, translated by Soledad S. Reyes, Ateneo de Manila University Press. RUR, Robot Universal ni Rostum by Karel Chapek, translated by Rogelio Sicat, Ateneo de Naga University Press. Summer Blummer, Poems Written in Europe by John Iramil Teodoro, translated by Alice Sun Hua, University of Santo Tomas Publishing House. The best translated book is The World is Still Beautiful by Lazaro Francisco, translated by Mona Hailey, published by the Ateneo de Manila University Press.
Good evening. In behalf of the late Dr. Mona Hailey, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the Manila Critics Circle and the National Book Development Board for selecting the English translation of my father's classic novel, The World is Still Beautiful, as this year's NBA winner for translation. A respected scholar of the Tagalog novel, Dr. Hailey, held a special admiration for my father's body of work, and she would come to visit us in Cabanatuan every weekend all through the 1970s while she was translating the novel. As readers of her translation would now say, they are entranced by her masterful translation for being able to capture both the vibrancy and substance of the original novel. It is said that a good translation reads as if the book was written in the language into which it has been translated. This was what Dr. Hailey did in The World is Still Beautiful. Kamona, sa iyo ang award na ito. Muli, maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat sa prestigious award na ito.
Congratulations, Ms. Hailey and Ateneo Press. With that, we move on now to the non-literary division. This year, the category judges for the non-literary division are Mariles Gustilo for art, Antonio Lavinia for professions, Maria Mangajas for social sciences, Maria Bernadette Abrera for history, Marites Vitug for journalism, Joanna Manalastas for humor, sports, and lifestyle, Mickey Phoenix for food, Eric Punzalan for science, and Maria Yodel Pe is the category judge for design. Our first category is the best book in art. The winner of this award will also be given the Alfonso T. Ongpin Prize for Best Book in Art. Our finalists this year are Deco Filipino, Art Deco Heritage in the Philippines by Ivan Mandi and Gerard Lico, Art Post Asia Incorporated. Philippine Social Realists by Amadis Maria Guerrero, Erawan Art World Corporation. The Art and Times of the 70s by Marian Pastor Roses, Jaime C. Laya, and others, Januarius Holdings Incorporated. The Art and Times of the New Millennium, 2000 to 2020 by Lisa Guerrero Naktil, Tina Arceo Dumlao, JJ Atencio, and others, Januarius Holdings Incorporated. Philippine Cinema, 1897 to 2020 by Gaspar A. Vibal and Dennis S. Villegas, edited by Teddy O. Co, Vibal Group. The Art of Collecting, A Guide to the Philippine Market by Joseph Sedfrey S. Santiago, Ateneo de Manila University Press. The Best Book in Art and the Alfonso T. Ongpin Prize for Best Book in Art goes to Philippine Cinema 1897 to 2020 by Gaspar A. Vibal and Dennis S. Villegas, edited by Teddy O. Ko, published by Vibal Group.
I am honored by this signal recognition accorded Philippine Cinema 1897-2020. My co-author, Dennis Villegas, would have been the happiest writer alive had not COVID claimed his life just 4 months after its completion. I am equally certain that my late great mama, Esther Vibal, would have shared in this joy too. She waited for its launch on November 28, 2020 at the Quezon City Film Festival before passing away. To her, I owe most of what I know about writing and having myself edited critically and judiciously, a task undertaken by my astute editor Teddy Ko. Lastly, we could not have completed this without Marty Magsanak's inspiration, which rekindled my passion for the bakbakan and iyakan movies of childhood. This award is also yours, Marty.
Now it's time to award the Best Book on Professions. The finalists for this year are School is Life, Progressive Education in the Philippines by Annie Rosa Almario and Tina Zamora, Ateneo de Manila University Press. Cool Minds, Brave Hearts, The People of the Philippines Central Bank by Ruel R. Landingin, Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Creating Sustainable Value in Social Enterprises, Stories of Social Innovation by Maria Asunta Cuyagkeng, Raquel Cementilla Olpok, Ana Marina Tan, Ateneo de Manila University Press. Time Out Muna, Gabay sa Utang, Upa at Iba pa sa Panahon ng Pandemya, Attorney Noel Romero del Prado, San Anselmo Publications, Inc. Securing a Continuum of Care, The Challenges of a Fragmented Health Sector by Carlo Erwin A. Panelo, Orville Lucesi Stolon, Rebecca M. Ramos, Alejandro N. Heron, University of the Philippines Press. The Best Book on Professions is Cool Minds, Brave Hearts, The People of the Philippines Central Bank by Ruel R. Landingin, published by Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas.
I am honored to accept this award for Cool Minds, Brave Hearts, The People of the Philippine Central Bank. Many BSP officers contributed first-hand personal accounts for the book, and I would like to share this honor with all of them. The late Benito Ligarda, Diwa Ginigundo, Chuchi Fonasier, Janice Aison Zales, Fatima Ferrer Magtuba, Editha Martin, Dennis Gamaya, and Clifton Abbott. I would also like to thank Fede La Cruz and Marilyn Orosa of Studio 5 Designs for inviting me to work on the book. One of my favorite stories in the book was how BSP employees in Zamboanga reported for work in an armored car during the MNLF siege of the city in 2013. Really, there's more to the BSP than being the issuer of the new polymer banknotes. Maraming salamat at magandang gabi sa inyong lahat.
Congratulations, Mr. Landingin and Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Up next is the Best Book in Social Sciences. The winner of this award will also receive the Elfren S. Cruz Prize for Best Book in Social Sciences. Elfren S. Cruz is a professor of strategic management at the De La Salle University Graduate School of Business. Here are the finalists. Making Sense of the City, Public Spaces in the Philippines by Ramon E. Barbaza, Ateneo de Manila University Press. Counter-Revolution, The Global Rise of the Far Right by Walden Bello, Ateneo de Manila University Press. Rethinking Filipino Millennials, Alternative Perspectives on a Misunderstood Generation by Jail Cornelio, University of Santo Tomas Publishing House. A Capital City at the Margins, Quezon City and Urbanization in the 20th Century Philippines by Michael D. Pante, Ateneo de Manila University Press. Handbook of Psikolohiyang Pilipino Volume 2, Gamit by Rogelio P. Pua, University of the Philippines Press. The Best Book in Social Sciences and the Elfren S. Cruz Prize for Best Book in Social Sciences goes to Rethinking Filipino Millennials, Alternative Perspectives on a Misunderstood Generation by Jail Cornelio, published by University of Santo Tomas Publishing House.
Rethinking Filipino Millennials began as a workshop in 2016, co-organized with colleagues from the Philippine Sociological Society. It was a small gathering of young scholars working on different facets of youth and young adulthood in the Philippines. Little did we know that our work would become so important one day and even be recognized in the National Book Awards. At the time, all we were concerned about was that generational labels like millennials and Gen Z were inappropriate in the Philippine context. The edited volume, Rethinking Filipino Millennials, asserts exactly this point. Covering accounts from Northern Luzon to the Bangsamoro, the chapters in it demonstrate the varied experiences of millennials who have to deal with different issues in life, from inequality to climate change. We hope that our work will continue to inspire critical and honest conversations about this generation and the new ones that are now emerging. I am thankful to the National Book Development Board and the Manila Critics Circle for this precious recognition.
Congratulations, Mr. Cornelio and UST Publishing House. Our next award is the Best Book in History and the John C. Cao Prize for Best Book in History. John C. Cao is the Chief Executive Officer of Pietraco Industries Incorporated. The finalists for this category are Asian Place, Filipino Nation, A Global Intellectual History of the Philippine Revolution, 1887 to 1912, by Nicole Cunhing Aboitiz, Ateneo de Manila University Press. Clothing the Colony, 19th Century Philippine Sartorial Culture, 1820 to 1896, by Stephanie Koo, Ateneo de Manila University Press. The Story of Philippine Central Banking, Stability and Strength at 70, by Jose Dalisay Jr., Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Manila Cathedral, Restoring a Monument to Faith, Architecture and History, by Gerard Lico, Roman Catholic Archbishop of Manila. More Hispanic Than We Admit 3, Quincentennial Edition, 1521 to 1820, Filipino and Spanish Interactions Over the Centuries, by Jorge Mojaro, Vibal Group. Yaman, History and Heritage and Philippine Money, by Ambeth R. Ocampo, Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Philippine Politics and the Marcos Technocrats, The Emergence and Evolution of a Power Elite, by Teresa S. Tadem, Ateneo de Manila University Press. The Best Book on History and the John C. Cao Prize for Best Book in History goes to Clothing the Colony, 19th Century Philippine Sartorial Culture, 1820 to 1896, by Stephanie Koo, Ateneo de Manila University Press.
During the lockdown, I kept watching the National Basketball Association Hall of Fame speeches. Little did I know that a few years later, I too would have a place in the NBA, the National Book Awards. As you can imagine, I am deeply humbled and grateful to receive this award. I would like to therefore thank the esteemed jury behind the Manila Critics Circle and the National Book Development Board, as well as the hardworking team behind Karina Velasco of the Ateneo Press. I realized that for me to get to this point, everything must align. I had to be born into a family that values great books. I had to get into the right schools and study under the right mentors. It is at and through the Ateneo de Manila University that I met some extraordinary individuals whom I want to thank. I want to thank my master's supervisor, Dr. Lian Habana, who gave me the name of my PhD supervisor, Professor Xavier Huetz de Lom. To the blurbs that they wrote at the back cover of my book, they associated their names with mine. Therefore, I want to thank Dr. Fernando Jalcita, Dr. Maria Luisa Camagay, Dr. Nicanor Chongson, and Professor Armando Marx-Gedge.
Congratulations, Ms. Koo and Ateneo Press. Next up are our finalists for this year's Best Book in Journalism, and they are the following. Press Freedom Under Siege, Reportage That Challenged the Marcos Dictatorship, by Maria Ceres P. Doyo, University of the Philippines Press. The Community Press and Its Revolutionary Tradition, by Georgina Reyes Encanto, University of the Philippines Press. I, Journalist, and Other Newsroom Introspections, by Joel Pablo Salud, University of the Philippines Press. The Battle of Marawi, by Criselda Yabes, Pawikan Press. The Best Book in Journalism is Press Freedom Under Siege, Reportage That Challenged the Marcos Dictatorship, by Maria Ceres P. Doyo, published by the University of the Philippines Press.
Thank you, National Book Development Board and the Manila Critics Circle for giving this book the National Book Award for Journalism. The stories in this book, Press Freedom Under Siege, were written during a dark and difficult period in our history. but the stories still cry out and resonate with the present national situation. May our young journalists derive inspiration from the authors and from the stories, especially when they must speak truth to power. Thank you, National Historical Commission and the University of the Philippines Press for making this book possible. Mabuhay!
Congratulations, Ms. Doyo and UP Press. Next category is the best book on humor, sports, and lifestyle. The finalists are Winning Study Abroad Strategies for Filipinos by Maria Regina Arpisa, Eva Marie Wang, Page Jump Media. Walk Manila by Lorelai D.C. De Viana, Far Eastern University. Meet Obsessions, Starting Your Journey to Organizing Productivity and Happiness by Isa Guico Reyes, ABS-CBN Books. The best book on humor, sports, and lifestyle is Walk Manila by Lorelai D.C. De Viana, published by Far Eastern University Publications.
I would like to thank the National Book Development Board and the Manila Critics Circle for this award. I would like to thank the Far Eastern University, to whom I share this award. I thank most especially Attorney Gianna Montinola and Mr. Martin Lopez for the book editing, the FEU guides for the walking tour maps, Patti Ferriol, Gil Bejarano, Lance Caperal, and Gwen Galvez, Ms. Julia Abad of the FEU Public Policy Center, Mr. Ivan Mandy for writing the foreword, and to all those who helped in the research, providing guides and leads for data and information about Manila's different heritage sites. Mabuhay at maraming salamat sa inyong lahat.
Congratulations, Ms. Daviana and Far Eastern University Publications. Next to be presented is the best book on food. Here are the shortlisted books. Also Filipino, 75 Regional Dishes I Never Had Growing Up by Angelo Comsti, RPD Publications. Kain Na, An Illustrated Guide to Philippine Food by Brian Co and Feliz Prudente Santa Maria, RPD Publications. Lasa ng Republika, Dila at Bandila, Ang Paghahanap sa Pambansang Panlasa ng Pilipinas by Ige Ramos, Anvil Publishing Incorporated. Mesa ni Misis by Juana Manahan Yupanco, ABS-CBN Books. The best book on food is Lasa ng Republika, Dila at Bandila, Ang Paghahanap sa Pambansang Panlasa ng Pilipinas by Ige Ramos, Anvil Publishing Incorporated.
Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. Nais ko magpasalamat sa National Book Development Board para sa parangal na ito. Nais ko rin magpasalamat sa pamunuan ng Anvil Publishing na pinangungunahan ni Sandra Ramos sa pagbigay sa akin ng pagkakataon upang mailimbagan dila at bandila ang paghahanap sa pambansang panlasa ng Pilipinas. Nais ko rin pasalamatan mga kaibigan na tumulong upang mabuo ang aklat na ito. Una-una si Dr. Butch Shalsita, si Jenny Orillos, si Ayer Arguelles, at si Joey Bakiran. Inaalay ko po ang aklat na ito sa aking kaibigan si Risa Hernandez na nagpursige upang ilunsad ang aklat na ito sa kauna-unahang pagkakataon sa Malolos, Bulacan. Para sa iyo to, Risa, maraming salamat sa iyong mga ambag para sa kultura at pagkain Pilipino.
Congratulations, Mr. Ramos and Anvil. Now it's time to award the best book in science. Our finalists for this category are A Timeline of Mindanao Disasters by Alfredo Mahar Francisco A. Lagmay and Maria Criselta B. Baldago, University of the Philippines Press. Society, Science, and Technology, Social Dynamics of Scientific Discovery and Technological Innovation by William G. Padulina, Emmanuel de Dios, Jeffrey Ducanes, Ruth Guzman, Olga Nuneza, Romina Beltran Almazan, Jovino G. Meroy, Vibal Group. The Sanjeras of Ilocos, Cooperative Irrigation Societies of the Philippines by Jose A. Rivera, Ateneo de Manila University Press. The best book in science is The Sanjeras of Ilocos, Cooperative Irrigation Societies of the Philippines by Jose A. Rivera, published by Ateneo de Manila University Press.
My thanks to all the people who made the book award possible. We have three groups to recognize. I thank the Ilocano farmers who hosted my fieldwork more than 20 years ago when I studied the Sanjera irrigation societies. After I submitted my manuscript, Karina Bolasco led the review process and was supported by an amazing group of senior and junior editors at the Ateneo University Press. I recognize the director and staff whose rigorous review, copy editing, design work, and other tasks resulted in this beautiful book, Sanjeras Avilocos. In August 2021, the director took steps to nominate the book for the 39th National Book Awards. Here too, the review process was rigorous. With a screening committee, staff, and board of judges, I thank each of you as well. I accept the award, Best Book in Science. I am deeply honored.
Congratulations, Mr. Rivera and Ateneo Press. Our next award is Best Book Design. All eligible books nominated by publishers for all categories in the National Book Awards were contenders for the Best Book Design. Shortlisted among the dozens of nominations this year are Teresa Light Postcard Book 1, designed by Cadjo Baldissimo, 19th Avenida Publishing House. Marca Demonio, or Poems on Love, Faith, and Duct Tape, designed by Tom Estrera, Anvil Publishing Incorporated. Also Filipino, 75 Regional Dishes I Never Had Growing Up, designed by Alpha Garcia, RPD Publications. Umadapnon Tarangban, Sugidanon, Epics of Panay, Book 8, designed by Gian Nino Genoveza, University of the Philippines Press. Walk Manila, designed by Martin Z. Lopez and Gianna Reyes Montinola, Far Eastern University. A Watercolor Journey, designed by Miguel Mari, Holy Angel University Incorporated. Clothing the Colony, 19th Century Philippine Sartorial Culture, 1820 to 1896, designed by Felix Mago Miguel Jr., Ateneo de Manila University Press. The Best Book Design Award goes to A Watercolor Journey, designed by Miguel Mari, published by Holy Angel University Incorporated.
Good afternoon. I just wanted to start off by thanking the National Book Awards for this honor. Secondly, I'd like to say a special thank you to Cloud Tayag. Working on a project like A Watercolor Journey, his book, is an amazing experience for designers like me because my job is definitely made easier when the subject matter is as beautiful and inspiring as Cloud's paintings are. So on behalf of Cloud, Neil Oshima, who also contributed to this project, and all the other individuals who worked on the book, thank you very much.
Congratulations, Mr. Mari and Holy Angel University Incorporated. The last award for this evening is the National Book Award for Publisher of the Year. As in the past years, this recognition is conferred on the publisher who has the most number of winning nominations in the National Book Awards. The Publisher of the Year for the 39th National Book Awards is the Ateneo de Manila University Press.
As we celebrate the 50th anniversary of Ateneo de Manila University Press, it is a signal honor for us to accept this award. We thank and salute our 29 authors whose precious works were finalists in this year's National Book Awards, and the 8 who won it for science, history, literary criticism, nonfiction prose, novel, drama, essay, and translation. On behalf of our university president, Father Roberto Yap, our editorial board, and the entire press team, I express our utmost gratitude to you, all of our authors, and the many others who in the last 5 decades trusted us with their best and finest of good heart and critical mind in stimulating content and exacting form, in remarkable words that without fail shape the truth, the purpose, and the meaning of life for themselves and countless others. For the sake of our many communities that form our nation, please continue to immerse, engage, analyze, speak up, document, appreciate, resist, imagine, liberate, create, and love. For that is how books are written. That is how books are read. Thank you to the Manila Critics Circle and the National Book Development Board.
Congratulations, Ateneo de Manila University Press.
Now to conclude tonight's program, here's Manila Critics Circle Chair, Mr. Ruel S. De Vera.
National Artist for Literature, Hermino H. Abad. National Artist for Literature, Virgilio S. Almario. National Book Development Board Chair, Dante Francis Ang II. NBDB Executive Director, Charisse Aquino Tugade. Fellow members of the Manila Critics Circle, permanent and category judges, NBDB staff, and friends, good evening. To our finalists and winners, the warmest congratulations, for these honors have been 3 years in the making. The last National Book Awards were given out in 2019, recognizing the best books of 2018. That was the 38th iteration of these awards. But in a way, tonight's awards were over 4 decades in the making. In 1981, several of the country's top book reviewers and literary critics gathered to form the Manila Critics Circle to recognize the best books being published in the Philippines through the National Book Awards. In 2008, the MCC and the NBDB entered into a partnership to truly recognize the best of the previous year's books. Last year, 2021, was the 40th anniversary of the formation of the MCC and would have been the 40th National Book Awards as well. But through events beyond anyone's writing, that did not happen. But finally, we are able to resume the proud tradition with this year's 39th National Book Awards, recognizing the best books of both 2019 and 2020. On a personal note, as I end my term as MCC Chair, I would like to thank all the members of the MCC, past, present, and future, for their devotion to the very best of Philippine publishing. In particular, I would like to thank Dr. Isagani R. Cruz, who helped shape the National Book Awards more than anyone else. We miss you, and we hope that you are watching us tonight. Most of all, I would like to thank the late Dr. Doreen Gamboa Fernandez, who invited me to join the MCC in 1999, and whose example I try to live up to every day in my time as MCC Chair. After the near complete publishing paralysis of the lockdown, the publishers have emerged as energized as ever before. Just a cursory glance at the books being published to be recognized in this year's 40th National Book Awards is proof positive of that. Finally, I would like to make a call to action. In libraries, the fiction and nonfiction sections are separate. In bookstores, the history and fantasy sections are separate. Let us keep it this way. Protect our libraries. Protect our bookstores. Protect our publishers, our writers, our editors, our illustrators, our designers. Protect, most of all, the Filipino reader. Protect their freedom to read. Thank you and good evening.
A big congratulations to all the National Book Awards winners and finalists. This has been a great year for the NBA. Again, I'm Sam O. It has been an honor to host this year's National Book Awards ceremony. Good evening to you all.
I'm Tina Ryan, and thank you for tuning in to the 39th National Book Awards. Good evening, and we hope to see you on the next one.